Hi there, it's Sandy, your sister and your friend. Welcome to today's video. We're continuing A Course in Miracles lessons, and today we're covering lessons 101, 102, and 103, and I've entitled these three, God's Will for Us is Perfect Happiness because There is No Sin. Now, in these videos, I've changed the wording to I, me, and my just to make it easier to read, but every lesson applies to every person without exception. The Course doesn't ask us to believe the ideas or to even welcome them, but it does say if we practice them, we'll see that they're true. In these three lessons, we're told many ways that God's will for us is happiness. We know that God is love, so of course He wants us to be happy, and we want to be happy. And this truth replaces all of our fears. Now joy replaces the pain and guilt that we've piled on ourselves as a penance for our sins. But in reality, there is no sin. Lesson 101, God's will for me is perfect happiness. So today we will continue with the theme of happiness. This is a key idea in understanding what salvation means. I still believe it asks for suffering as penance for my sins, but this is not so. Yet I must think it so while I believe that sin is real and that God's Son can sin. If sin is real, then punishment is just and cannot be escaped. Salvation thus cannot be purchased but through suffering. If sin is real, then happiness must be an illusion, for they cannot both be true. The sinful warrant only death and pain, and it is this they ask for they know it waits for them, and it will seek them out and find them somewhere, sometime, in some form that evens the account they owe to God. They would escape Him in their fear, and yet He will pursue, and they cannot escape. If sin is real, salvation must be pain. Pain is the cost of sin, and suffering can never be escaped if sin is real. Salvation must be feared, for it will kill, but slowly, taking everything away before it grants the welcome boon of death to victims who are little more than bones before salvation is appeased. Its wrath is boundless, merciless, but wholly just. Who would seek out such savage punishment? Who would not flee salvation and attempt in every way he can to drown the voice which offers it to him? Why would he try to listen and accept its offering? If sin is real, its offering is death, and meted out in cruel form to match the vicious wishes in which sin is born. If sin is real, salvation has become my bitter enemy, the curse of God upon me who has crucified His Son. I need the practice periods today because the exercises teach that sin is not real, and all that I believe must come from sin will never happen, for it has no cause. I must only accept atonement with an open mind which cherishes no lingering belief that I have made a devil of God's Son. There is no sin. We practice with this thought as often as we can today because it is the basis for today's idea. God's will for me is perfect happiness because there is no sin, and suffering is causeless. Joy is just, and pain is but the sign I have misunderstood myself. I will not fear the will of God, but I will turn to it in confidence that it will set me free from all the consequences sin has wrought in feverish imaginations. I will say this, God's will for me is perfect happiness. There is no sin, for it has no consequence. I should start my practice periods and then attempt to find the joy these thoughts will introduce into my mind. I will give these 5 minutes gladly to remove the heavy load I laid upon myself in the insane belief that sin is real. So today I will escape from madness. I am set on freedom's road, and now today's idea brings wings to speed me on, and hope to go still faster to the waiting goal of peace. There is no sin. I will remember this today and tell myself this as often as I can. God's will for me is perfect happiness. This is the truth because there is no sin. Lesson 102. I share God's will for happiness for me. I do not want to suffer. I may think it buys me something and may still believe a little that it buys me what I want. Yet this belief is surely shaken now, at least enough to let me question it and to suspect it really makes no sense. It has not gone as yet, but lacks the roots that once secured it tightly to the dark and hidden places in my mind. Today we try to loose its weakened hold still further and to realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause, and with no power to accomplish anything. It cannot purchase anything at all. It offers nothing and does not exist. And everything I think it offers me is lacking in existence like itself. I have been slave to nothing. I will be free today to join the happy will of God. So for several days, we will continue to devote our longer practice periods to exercises planned to help me reach the happiness God's will has placed in me. Here is my home, and here my safety is. Here is my peace, and here there is no fear. Here is salvation. Here is rest at last. I will begin the longer practice periods with this acceptance of God's will for me. I will say, I share God's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. Then I will seek this function deep within my mind, for it is there, awaiting but my choice. I cannot fail to find it when I learn it is my choice and that I share God's will. I will be happy, for my only function here is happiness. I have no need to be less loving to God's Son than He whose love created Him as loving as Himself. So besides these hourly 5-minute rests, I will pause frequently today to tell myself that I have accepted happiness as my one function, and I will be sure that I am joining with God's will in doing this. Lesson 103, God being love is also happiness. Happiness is an attribute of love. It cannot be apart from it, nor can it be experienced where love is not. Love has no limits, being everywhere, and therefore joy is everywhere as well. Yet can the mind deny that this is so, believing there are gaps in love where sin can enter, bringing pain instead of joy. This strange belief would limit happiness by redefining love as limited and introducing opposition in what has no limit and no opposite. Fear is associated now with love, and its results become the heritage of minds which think that what they made is real. These images, with no reality and truth, bear witness to the fear of God, forgetting being love, He must be joy. This basic error we will try again to shift to truth today, teaching ourselves this. God, being love, is also happiness. To fear Him is to be afraid of joy. I will begin my longer exercises for today with this association, which corrects the false belief that God is fear. It also emphasizes happiness belongs to me because of what He is. I will allow this one correction to be placed within my mind each waking hour today. Then I will welcome all the happiness it brings as truth replaces fear and joy becomes what I expect to take the place of pain. God being love, it will be given me. I will bolster this expectation frequently throughout the day and quiet all my fears with this assurance, kind and wholly true, by saying this. God being love is also happiness, and it is happiness I seek today. I cannot fail because I seek the truth. There is so much hope and joy in these 3 lessons, so I pray that we're beginning to understand what God's will is for us. He wants us to be happy, and these 3 lessons reassure us of that. In the next video, we'll start with Lesson 104. Thank you so much for listening. God bless.